Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's a real special day today. It's always a special day when we get to talk to our good friend Eric Glesser himself from Spyderco. Doubly special because he's got some new knives to show us today. How are you, Eric?
I'm doing great. Thanks for taking the time to meet with me and look at some of the new stuff we're doing.
As always, I'm looking at your surroundings there. It looks like a nice sunny day out there in Colorado. It beats the weather we're having over here right now.
Yeah, I'm outside. I'm out of the office today. It's not Colorado, but it is lovely where I'm at today.
Oh, okay.
And I'm excited to have some of these knives with me.
Well, on that note, let's jump right in.
Okay. The first one, though, I think you're holding because you have the sample for it, which is that Pakkawood Endela.
Yes, I got it
All
right here.
Yeah, that's we don't have a lot of them floating around right now, but you got them. I love the Pakkawood series that we do with you guys. Pakkawood is such a durable wood, and the Japanese are so good at executing it, making it flat and adding it to the full liners. It's got a full spine, four-way clip. That's the HAP 40 laminate. So you're going to get a beautiful patina on that laminate with that softer outside clad. Give you some nice scratch patterns.
I love the way that looks over time, especially paired with a material like that Pakkawood. It's just, channel regulars know. I just think that's a cool combination, of real classic look, and it just looks cool.
And in the end, its performance was wonderful. The thin edge that HAP 40 can take, the slicing and durability of the edge and the wood, it performs with beauty. It's a beautiful piece. KnifeCenter has done a great job putting that combination together.
Well, here's the point where I get to talk to Eric about the knife since I'm the one holding it. But I mean, it's the Endela. We're proud to have, I think, the first special edition Endela out there, and the first non-lightweight Endela as well.
Yeah, I like the full liners and the wood and the skeleton. They're skeletonized as well. It just brings you a nice thickness, a nice weight. It's a beautiful combination. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And with this Endela and its size, it's that nice middle ground between the Endura and Delica, which are some of our most classic designs. But that meets right in the middle, that Goldilocks area.
Yeah, it's kind of the size of the times, I like to say, because it's in a size range, a blade size range that if a lot of companies, if they're going to put out one size of a knife these days, it is going to be a little bit closer to what you see here. So it's very timely, but you've got all those, Spyderco greatest hits, like you said, the 4-position clip, the mid back lock, the excellent edge geometry. I mean, it's everything you want.
Yeah, and I do agree. It's very much the size of the times, which times are always changing. It tends to go smaller over time, but it's certainly a good representation of the times.
Yeah, very cool knife, and we're very happy to be adding this to our Pakkawood family for sure.
I'm glad you're adding it too. It's a fun carry.
Well, that's the only knife I've got in front of me. The rest of the knives today are in front of you, so I'll let you kind of take it away.
Okay, I'm going to start with some of our most classic models. These are the Dragonflies. People that know our model, or Spyderco, know that the Dragonfly is one of our most classic designs. We've been evolving and developing this knife for more than 20 years. This one is a 2.5-inch blade. If you're looking for a knife that's going to fit in that range, which we were just talking about, size is becoming more and more important. 2.5 inches is a great size. It's legal and non-aggressive to carry just about anywhere. But when you get to a knife this small, getting a good handle grip on a 2.5-inch knife can be a difficult challenge in design. And the Dragonfly has done that wonderfully. With that 4-finger choil and the size of that handle, you can really purchase your whole hand on it, get a great grip, and do everything you need to do with this knife as it's tasked to be. Now with the mid-back lock too, it's just so reliable, both in its lockup, so it's never going to really fold on you very easily. It's very safe in its use. And then that self-close that lockback gives you with that nice action for opening, that deep pocket wire clip that we do with that lanyard that's exposed, the bidirectional lightweight handle, which, Spyderco does a great job in our lightweights, the bright color you get from the pink. The colors aren't always so easy. And we execute our colors, get some bright, vibrant colors. And then in the end, it's all for a good cause. Some of this money goes to pink heels to support that as well. And
So
great
like
addition, I
the
think.
like the Delica that was released in a one of the recent reveals, is this version also going to have that S30V blade steel?
Yep, thanks for reminding me of that. It's the USA-made S30V. We're going to be shipping it over into Japan. We have made a pink Dragonfly 2 in the past, and if you know Spyderco, again, when we discontinue something, we never reintroduce it in its same format. That's one of the things our collectors like. And so the old one was VG10. This one's been bumped up the S30V. And then we're also going to be making a black and pink version as well. I don't have the black and pink version on me. Let's see, I know I have a, let me dig it out. It's a zoom in on it. It's a photograph of one, so you could kind of see the combo. But the black and pink is a nice combination as well.
Yeah, what I like about that black and pink is it's never something I would have like necessarily thought of right off the bat, but it is a very striking combination. It's got a really good contrast going on.
It is. I'm excited for both models.
Very cool.
But yeah, we're going to expand the Dragonfly, and keeping along the Dragonfly lines, we're going into K390 with the Dragonfly. We're also going to be doing this in a Wharncliffe, which I don't have that sample here. Yeah, we're going to develop the K390 and the Dragonfly for the Wharncliffes and the non-Wharncliffes, and that blue you see as well. So K390 is still pushing.
I love it. Are we going to see more K390 on some other models as well?
That's what I'm getting into next.
Oh,
So having the Dragonfly S30V in pink, Dragonfly in K390, doing some Wharncliffes, and then the ones I'm really excited about, and again, I don't have a perfect sample, but you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit. We're going to be doing serrations in K390. I'm excited about serrations in K390. When you get into these, these really hard steels, Maximet, K390, the steels that get up into the mid 60s, it's hard to make teeth because they tend to get too brittle. And when you start to cut with those teeth, they can even chip off. But K390s, the structure of the steel keeps a serration very well. And so now you're going to have the power and the force of K390, but with teeth. And we're going to be doing that for the Endura, the Delica, the Endela. I think first to come out in the teeth where the Delica and the Endura. The Endela is not going to come out in this reveal for teeth, but we're going to develop teeth across the board for the K390.
Very cool. That's such an interesting thing. I mean, obviously serrations is a bit more niche, I think, than plain edge in general. But with a steel like K390 that has such crazy high edge retention, you think about serrations adding that much more actual sharpened edge inside a given length. There's, you're probably packing double the edge retention into that knife.
Yeah, and the aggression to go with it. I mean, it's just a mini chainsaw, if you will.
Yeah.
Also, not all serrations are created equal. When you start looking at all the companies and you start to learn more about serrations, you're going to learn to appreciate Spyderco's serrations. Our edge angles, the length of the teeth, how arced they are. I mean, they're really they've been highly developed for over 40 years, and we're very proud of our serrations. And to bring them into the hard steels is very exciting.
Yeah, very nice.
So yeah, we're going to expand the K390 in serrations.
Did you still have that K390 stretch with the straight spine?
Oh, the only version I have is Ivory, the Ivory version that we did in Sprint. So I can show you this next to the color. I'm glad you remembered that. The K390 in the straight spine stretch, it's a very evolved design, the stretch itself. Typically, the more you get into the knives, the more this knife is appealing to you. This has a 4-finger choil, so you're going to be able to really choke up on this knife. One of the features I really enjoy about the stretch is in the closed profile. It goes in and out of the pocket fantastic. It's got that 4-way clip, that bi-directional texturing. Now, this is the Ivory Sprint because it's the only one I had on person, but it will be in K390 in blue. For a lot of people, this is one of those types of grails. The stretch itself has its own following, and you add the K390 to that, and it will be a beautiful carry piece. One of my favorites in the past was a ZDP stretch. For those who know, that was a wonderful carry. If you were a big fan of the ZDP stretch, this is going to go right up that alley.
No, that's awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. I like the stretch. I like the straight spine one too, but I actually missed out on that particular sprint run. So I'll have another bite at the apple to get a straight spine stretch in my collection. But also, like, you did mention this knife has a following, but I think definitely undeservedly so. This is perhaps one of the more underappreciated knives in Spyderco's lineup.
Yeah, in our company we discuss why that is. One of the reasons we think it is because so many people are used to those Enduras and Delicas with that big guard and that soft point there. And when you're buying a knife, oftentimes this just will feel safe and secure, and you like that. But the more you're around knives, the more comfort you have on choking up onto that forefinger choil. Most of the time, the early buyers aren't looking at forefinger choils as much as the buyer that knows a little bit more about knives. We think that might be one of the reasons, but you're absolutely right. It seems like one of those things that people tend to like over time.
I really dig it. And across the whole range of these K390 models, I love the pairing of that high-end steel with the more affordable, but still, very usable handles. I mean, so when you're putting your dollars down on one of these knives, you're getting the most bang for your buck. The bulk of your money is going towards that real high-performance steel.
Yeah, that's been one of our philosophies for a very long time. We're a performance-based company, and let's put that big engine in an inexpensive car and let's haul some ass.
Fantastic.
Keep rolling?
Let's keep rolling.
All right. Next is LC200N and salts. For those of you who know our line, LC200N is a near complete corrosive resistant steel. It tends to get fairly hard, so it has very good edge retention. We make these knives so they're completely as rust-free as we can get them to be. They come in a lightweight, bright green. If you know some of our other salt series we've done in the past with H1, those come in a hollow grind, and they come in yellow. And so we're going to expand the salt series into a bright green with a full flat. And that's going to give you some nice slicing ability and a new variation in the corrosive resistant marking.
I love that particular green color too. Like, I always like seeing more than just the black handled knives, but when you do get into colors, you got to get them right. And there's something about that particular green that I really do enjoy.
And it's bright. For those that dive, when you start going down through those atmospheres in the water, the deeper you go, you're losing the light, you lose the colors. And there are some colors that just tend to keep their form better. Yellow, bright yellow, that's why you see so many of the salts. Bright orange, bright green. You can go down 100 feet and still see one of these things, where other knives you would completely lose the color and they'd be lost in the coral. And so that's one of the reasons we make these bright colors and salts, because not only in the depths of water, but in just about any atmosphere, if you drop it, it's going to be a little bit easier to find.
Great
so
point.
Yeah, the bright greens, that's why we do it.
I love it. I dig the color too. I mean, I'm not a diver myself, but it's just a fun color too. Even for the non-divers out there, it shouldn't be just relegated to folks who are going to be using it on the water, I think.
I agree. Totally agree. Also, to push that, we are doing it in a Wharncliffe LC200N, and I don't have one here. Actually, I do have the Dragonfly in a black, so I'm going to show this blade real quick. Though we're going to be doing this in LC200N, we're doing it in the Dragonflies. I like to highlight our Wharncliffe blades. If you look at how straight that edge is, how crisp that tip is, we take a lot of great pride in getting those edge angles and those bevels right in our Wharncliffes. And so we'll be doing LC200N in the green Delica and Wharncliffes as well. And you're just like the K390, the Wharncliffes, we're expanding a lot of what just works.
That'll be really cool.
The Salt 2s and LC200N Wharncliffe coming down the pipe.
Very nice.
Let's see. Next, I was going to get into the Yojumbo. And I have to dig out my image. We're going all black on the Yojumbo.
Very cool.
Much like the Yojimbo that we go all black. But the Yojumbo is a much bigger knife. If you know the Yojumbo, this has everything you look for in the Yojumbo, but a bigger package. It has that strong lock, that pure performance. Mike Janich designed it. I have so much respect for his ability in knife design and his expertise in knives. The Warrenclyffe that's on this gets back to what I was just talking about, that straight edge, that crisp tip. This has a high hollow as well, so it's going to stay thin down here through the bevel as you resharpen it and use it. It's going to have great slicing power at the tip because of that hollow grind. It's got the compression lock with some great thicknesses, so it's going to be strong. One of the things I really like what Mike did with this design too is from the handle to the tip, the edge length is a little bit longer. Typically, that's pretty hard to do, but that edge goes a little bit past the length of the handle, so you're going to get a lot of cutting power with the Yojumbo.
Yeah,
and then with
especially on a folder, that type of feature. You can see it maybe a little bit more on some fixed blades, but yeah, especially on a folder, very hard to do.
And you can see it just drops that hand in. He really did such a great job with those ergos. He developed those to fit just about any hand, but also accommodate those larger hands, which is the request for this Yojumbo. It packs a serious punch. Mike has done a wonderful job with this, and in all black. You know, everything is blackened but the edge and the inside locking surface. And so really, if you are looking for something that is near zero reflection, it's going to be a perfect option. I've been told that some people like to use a Sharpie on the edge or other components if they need to. But Mike really went for the all blacked out version. So the all blacked out Yojumbo is what's coming down the pipe.
So even the like the Spyderco logo and stuff, will those be lasered through, or are those going to kind of be darkened out as well?
It's funny you mentioned that with the logo. When you're lasering those, sometimes you can laser it so it gets more of a silver look. You'll see that on most of our black knives. But on the Yojumbo, we did a black engraving on the black blade.
Okay.
So it's still there, but you got to look at it a lot closer because
nice.
It's black.
Well, what I like about the Yojimbo and the Yojumbo, I haven't been able to really mess around with the Yojumbo too much because lovely KnifeCenter people have been purchasing them very quickly from us. But obviously Janich designed that very much with self-defense and that sort of thing in mind. But the angles the angle when you hold the handle where the tip sits, it's just going to be a very, very effective, in my mind, heavy-duty utility knife, really.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm a former art student, and you get those tips out there for utility work. That tip is absolutely wonderful, whether you're a box cutter or doing artistic type of work. To add to that, though, on a knife this size, for the types of jobs you're going to be doing, whether they're utility or anything else, you need an absolute reliable lock. And the compression lock that the U.S. facility was able to accomplish on this, on its strength and durability, you're going to be able to work and use a knife of this size in great confidence. It's a very safe knife to use in utility or whatever else. And so hats off to the engineers in the factory for their execution of the lock on this one.
Yeah, very cool. It's a good knife and great lock, absolutely.
Yep, hats off to everybody on that one. Okay, keep rolling.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to go into some slip joints here. The one that I wanted to talk about first, here it is. This is the Lil Native in a slip joint built in the U.S. This is a 2.5-inch folder. So if you're looking at like the Dragonfly, that 2.5-inch package, this is a great option for you. More and more throughout the world too, non-lockers are becoming more popular, not only because of their use and how good we are at getting to making them, but because of the laws. And so this has a lock bar that comes all the way down, attaches here at the back. It's got no liners in there, so it kind of reduces the weight, but it has some fairly substantial thickness if you compare it to some of the...
It looks like there's enough beef there, for lack of a better word.
If you're looking for working with a 2.5-inch knife that is legal just about anywhere, this is going to be a workhorse, but yet small and fairly light to carry. S30V, 4-way clip, all Torx built. We actually inserted the threads into the G10, if you can kind of see there. So that gives you that 4-way ability, but the threads are inserted into the G10. That four-finger choil will keep it safe. So when you are really using the knife, it's unlikely to close on you. And then it does have, this one we took out the little mid-stop. And so if you're not into the mid-stop, which I'm going to show these later, the Roadie, some of these have mid-stops. The Little Native doesn't. You're going to be able to close that down and then have that great self-close.
I always love the choils on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I always love the, obviously you guys use a finger choil on a lot of designs, but that's something that really lends itself to a slip joint the way you guys build them, because you get that extra degree of safety.
Yeah, we coined the term Slippets for these because we call them one-hand open, non-lockers with a clip. And our non-lockers have this four-finger choil for safety. But really, before Spyderco came along, the one-hand open non-lockers with clips didn't exist. Mm-hmm. And so they become a nice piece of what Spyderco is, or Slippets. Now, not all of them have clips, which is the next one I'm going to talk about. But yeah, that's kind of where we coined the term Slippet.
Well, I'm a big fan of them in general, and I'm really looking forward to when this one comes out. I think I was telling you earlier than today, we were talking about this model, and I've used an Urban lightweight from you guys for years as my quote-unquote compliance knife, where I've needed a 2.5-inch blade and a non-locker. I had to shorten the blade a little bit on my knife grinder, but that's what was it for me. So I like this. I like to carry an American-made knife, so I think this is going to be on my shopping list for sure.
Yeah, nice way of figuring out how to solve that problem too.
Yeah, I think that knife was at like 2.6 inches, so I just dropped the tip a little bit, and it was what I needed.
Well, a lot of the places that have laws for non-lockers also have laws for length, and that's something we have to pay attention to.
Yep, absolutely.
And so I'm going to talk about that real quick too, is the UK, because you just mentioned it. We're going to make the UK an Assault. This one is black, so I'm just going to put the yellow Native next to it. It's going to be a yellow handle. It's going to be an LC200N blade, and then all corrosive resistant materials. And, we're excited for it because making non-lockers, as I was just talking, has its own challenges. And then you add the corrosion factor on that too, which adds more challenges. And so we're excited to bring a Salt to the market that's a non-locker.
Materials on that one, I know you mentioned yellow. Is it going to have the more aggressive bidirectional texturing, or is it going to be texturing like we see on the current model?
It's going to be the texturing like you see on the current model. It is softer. Some people prefer it for, sliding into the inside of their swimming suit. It does have a deep pocket as well. So when you do tuck it into the pocket, it really hides a lot away. It doesn't look like a very aggressive texture. It may be hard to see there, but it grips the thumb very well. You can push your finger or thumb in multiple directions. Again, I have to, tip it off to the engineering department for creating this texture that really is grips the hand well, but slides in and out of the pocket quite well as well.
Now you said Salt with yellow. If I missed it, I apologize, but is that going to be H1 steel or the LC200?
LC200N, USA made.
Full flat grind?
Full flat grind, plain edge, I know for sure, and I wouldn't doubt that we're going to do serrated as well, but don't completely have faith in that out of the chute.
I love it. Awesome.
Okay, and I'm going to keep going with slip joints. This one should be pretty quick. We're just taking these roadies that we make. Some people know about our roadie project. These are knives that are, again, fairly small in size. They have a double dent, is what we call it. It's a little ball nose cut that's up at the tip where you can open it with two hands, because one hand open is becoming an issue in some areas. This is a non-locker, just like we've been talking about, and also has the four-finger choil, like we've been talking about, so it's very safe to use. Made in Italy with N690. Comes with a curved handle in that mold, and so it slides in and out of the pocket very well. It doesn't have a clip. It has a lanyard, though, that's kind of generous, so you can tie a lanyard to it, so it's easier to find. Now, we already offer this in a number of colors, but we've been getting requests excuse me, for more subtle colors. So we have a brown. You might see this off of our Urban. I do have a forest green sample around, but oh, there it is. That's a sample of our forest green. And so you can kind of see that, a lot of people aren't looking for those bright colors, particularly if they're just dropping it into their backpack in an exposed pocket. And so, yeah, we're going to continue to develop the Roadies in some more subtle colors.
Very nice.
I have a feeling the Roadie's here to stay for a while.
Yeah, I know you guys initially designed that when TSA was kind of adjusting their laws or their regulations on knives. So that a certain length of non-locking, non-one-hand opener was going to be quote-unquote permissible, and you guys were kind of designing towards that. But even though that fell through, unfortunately, it's still a useful little knife.
Yeah, invention comes through solving a problem. Great memory, by the way. But, the TSA said you couldn't carry knives on planes any longer, and then they said you possibly could. They put out some parameters, and Spyderco started to create a solution for those parameters. And in the end, it created a great product for the future. Now, you're not allowed to carry knives on planes. TSA changed their mind on it, but the invention was still there. Also, people that may remember, we made a knife years back called the CoPilot, and that was designed as well to be able to be carried on planes. That was before 9/11. Mm-hmm. And so, Spyderco is a world brand. Our knives have been carried around the world for decades, and at the time, that was one of our goals. But yeah, great memory. Right find a problem and solve it.
It'll be cool to see the new colors on that. I'm glad it's sticking around for sure.
Yeah, I'm just going to give my dad some credit on this one too. He's a great designer. I enjoyed his ability to create this project. So designed by Sal. All right, into the next one.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm super excited about this one. I'm just a huge fan. This is a Howard Wheelie Phoenix. Howard Wheelie passed away recently. Great designer, made knives for a long time. Made another knife for us years back called the Wheelie. It had a black bolster. You'll know our Wheelie's designs often. He has this 3-hole combination, and you might see his logo on there. The Phoenix was a knife we produced years back with a white G10, titanium VG10 blade. It had the ball bearing lock, which is so safe, so reliable. Wear and tear is tremendous on it. It's probably our best knife for wear and tear. And then if you know Howard Wheelie, he's just got a beautiful eye for design. And he was able to take the ball bearing lock and develop it into this beautiful functional design. It fits the hand very well. The edge is right where it needs to be. Howard liked choils, and some people do, so there's a little choil there for your sharpening. In the closed, it's a nice profile for the pocket with a custom clip. I'm excited to work with Howard. Howard was a great guy, and let's continue to keep his memory going with the great things he created.
Yeah, I think the words you used together are really apt, that being beautiful, functional, because obviously it's a very thought out design, both from the terms of aesthetics and usability. I mean, it's got a full handle, holds that edge at a pretty aggressive downward angle. It feels like it's going to be ready to rip through some material pretty aggressively.
Now, this is a sprint run. I'm anticipating they might sell through pretty quick. We'll see, just to let people know. The old Phoenix was a fairly popular knife. If you have the old Phoenix, for some people, it's just a nice collector's piece. But this is a sprint, so it will rise like the Phoenix and then disappear again.
VG10 steel on that one?
VG10, VG10 is a great steel. I know it has titanium and red G10 and ball bearings and all the beauty, but VG10 is such a clean steel. It's still the number one steel we produce, I believe. And I have no doubts in the performance of this knife in VG10. And I think it's going to be a great combination.
Very cool.
Okay, on to the next one?
Yes, please.
Okay, I hate to keep using the term, but I'm excited. This one has been requested by customers multiple times over and over. This is a brown canvas Micarta Cru-Wear Paramilitary 2.
Wow.
For some people, this has kind of been one of their combinations they've just been absolutely waiting for. The canvas micarta tends to give you a great feel in the hand. Goes in and out of the pocket well. It gives you a great look over time. You can even tell this one's starting to get some use look to it. It's getting darker than it originally was because I've been carrying it a little bit. The Cru-Wear tends to get its own patina and beauty as well. And they just perform. And in the Paramilitary 2 combination and design, you know, which has just performed so well for us through the years, we think that it's going to be well received. Now, we had to make some changes because it's micarta. G10 tends to be more rigid than micarta. That was one of the reasons we had a hard time producing it for so long. So this one comes with full liners. The G10 version comes with nested liners. So you're going to get a little bit different in the weight. It's going to weigh a little bit more, though we did skeletonize the liners. It doesn't weigh too much, though. It's got a great balance and heft to it. Then I'm, again, super excited for a Cru-Wear canvas micarta Para 2.
Yeah, that is like, way to bury the lead, man. Put this out at the end of the video. I think that's the headline right there.
Yeah, it was harder to do than we thought it was going to be. And so we're glad to achieve it and start to get this one rolling. And it'll be regular production. So for the people that have been asking for it for some time, they're going to get a piece of it. We've done a few canvas micarta Cru-Wear or Cru-Wear in general, and they tend to sell out very quick again. And so for this one, for the people that didn't have an opportunity to get some of the former models we've done, hopefully they should get an option to be able to get this one.
I know, I mean, pretty much all of our exclusive Cru-Wear sprints from you guys have gone very quickly. It's a steel I really enjoy. It's a nice performer. But man, this is really cool. I got to ask you a hard question, though.
I like those.
Okay. And this is the question that everyone else is going to ask. It's like, ooh, Para 2, excellent. How about micarta on some other models? Is that something you guys are thinking about, or?
Oh, certainly. We're certainly trying to move in that direction. This will be the first regular production Cru-Wear knife I believe Spyderco's done. I think every other Cru-Wear variation we've done was either a sprint or an exclusive. Same with micarta. And we're hoping that in both fields, we're going to be able to expand into the market. So I guess time will tell. We have to overcome those challenges of production.
Sure, of course.
But that's my hope. As a fan of the knife myself, yeah. I'm hoping for other variations.
Yeah, well, count me in as well. Very cool.
So this is most of what we're going to be revealing fairly soon, and the hope is that most of it should deliver in a fair time.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I think if that's it, man, Eric, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to show us these knives.
Oh, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. You guys are a great partner, and for years to come, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
And thanks for the time, everybody. I hope you guys like the knives.
Well, folks, thanks for joining us on this video as well. And if you're interested in any of these knives, this video should be going out the same day that the new Spyderco reveal has been put out. So you'll be able to get your pre-orders in at the Knife Center. There will be a link in the description as usual. Well, that's about all I've got to say today. Thanks for watching. Eric, thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you.